Part 9. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 81. It is very easy for Bo Chang to find everyone's location. Mobile phone positioning, or the power of the rat spell, can trace the source to find the other 4 people. As for why there are 4 people, it is naturally because Zillowa is now following Sanyuki and others. Today during the day, Bo Chang played in the lower area. Sanyuki and others played in the upper area, with Zillowa as a guide. Dan Hung had no interest in hanging out with them. It is said that most of the time he spent studying the local customs in the library of Baloberg. He wanted to record all this information in the think tank of the data room and compare it with the past information. Bo Chang saw these things through the group chat. Sanyuki also took some beautiful pictures in the group. Bo Chang directly used the power of the rat spell to locate Sophia, and then rushed to the target location quickly. Use the invisible hand to grab himself. Bo Chang flew in the air, holding the Spear of Oath, majestically passing through the city of Baloberg. When he passed the central square, he also went to the fountain to draw 3 shots. He used up all 3 of the system space's high moral praises. He got an ancient coin and 2 bottles of Jim Roger bread-flavored soda. Props, ancient coin. Introduction, it is said that it can bring luck to the holder. In short, Bo Chang felt satisfied with just 2 bottles of Jim Roger bread-flavored soda. The ancient coin was a complete surprise. Bo Chang took it out without saying a word and carried it with him. It was just the word it is said. It was a little strange. I have no idea whether this thing can bring luck. It may just be a psychological effect. After turning around the fountain twice, Bo Chang continued to fly with the invisible hand. The silver-maned iron guards of Baloberg saw him around. They all pretended not to see it, and told the people who were talking about it not to make a fuss about these alien visitors. Except for the silver-maned iron guards who patrolled outside Baloberg all year round, basically every iron guard in the city already knew about it, and would not question their behavior. After all, they were the heroes who saved Baloberg. While flying, Bo Chang recalled the situation when he and Aha played rock-paper-scissors. Rock-paper-scissors protection was a very strange skill. When using it, Bo Chang had no feeling at all. Anyway, the final result was, no matter what Bo Chang did, he would win in the end, which was very strange, unlike the skills of Invisible Hand and 100 Birds paying homage to the Phoenix Spear. Speaking of which, I haven't used the stealing skill yet, do you want to try it? When Bo Chang thought about this, he found Sanyuki and others. Chapter 107. Take it you. The edge of Baloberg, near the city gate. Bo Chang fell from the sky and landed gently next to the pioneering team. The wind raised and rolled up his clothes. The current time is 4:37. There are only 23 minutes left before the gathering time at 5 o'clock. Bo Chang arrived in advance. Sanyuki, Singh, Zillowa, and Danhan had already gathered and waited for who knows how long. Seeing Bo Chang appear, Pascal, who was squatting on the ground and curled up, was instantly activated. With the sound of mechanical movement, it stood up and said, "Master, Pascal, wait, mission completed." Yeah. Nodding to his pet robot, Bo Chang looked at everyone. Sanyuki put one hand on his waist and said, "I thought you were going to come on time, I didn't expect it to be so early." Singh asked, "How are your things going?" "Don't worry, everything has been done. I also met 2 new friends in the lower area. The friends that Bo Chang mentioned are Sierra and Natasha. It's a pity that there is not enough time now. Otherwise, Bo Chang can also go to Hook to play." "Wait, Hook is too young, I guess, there's nothing to do with her. Dealing with a child who is too young. Bo Chang has no experience." "Friend," Sanyuki's eyes turned, and he had a vague guess in his heart, could it be a girl? Shilahua and Sing's eyes immediately fell on Bo Chang. Facing the eyes of the three people, Bo Chang coughed lightly, and he wanted to lie at first, but finally gave up and chose to tell the truth. Well, it is indeed a girl, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter? Then what is important? Sanyuki asked back. Bo Chang didn't intend to tell everyone on the Star Dome train about the star god Aha, so he thought about it seriously in his mind, and a light flashed in his mind, saying, the important thing is, I learned another skill. Skill? What skill? Shilahua was very curious. Bo Chang looked at Sanyuki, who liked to talk too much. My new skill is called stealing, which can obtain any item from the target. After saying that, Bo Chang suddenly stretched out his hand and made a fist towards Sanyuki. Give it to me. A white light emerged from Bo Chang's palm, and he felt a warm feeling appear in his palm, as if it were cloth. The next moment, March 7th was stunned in place. Bo Chang felt that something was wrong in his hand, so he did not open it immediately, but raised his hands, opened a finger gap, and quietly observed what it was. Huh, I thought I got something big, but it turns out, it's just socks. Seeing this, Bo Chang stretched his pink short socks with both hands. The black-haired boy smiled and said, see, this is the power of stealing. Zilahua, Sing, and Danhan were all stunned. I didn't expect Bo Chang to be able to learn such a strange thing. What kind of perverted skills are you doing? March Chi's face darkened, and she stretched out her hand, give me your socks. Okay. Bo Chang offered it with both hands. The groaning March 7th put on his socks again. I don't know why, but the pink short socks that the other party had grabbed seemed a little hot when they touched my feet again. Seeing that everyone's attention was diverted, Bo Chang struck while the iron was hot. Since everyone is here now, let's set off, go back early, and rest early. When I first came to Yali Logo 6, Bo Chang and others came down in the landing module. Now when we go back, we have to rely on the landing module. Because the dedicated landing cabin of the Star Dome train is large enough. So don't worry about not being able to fit them. Dan Hung nodded and said, well, let's go and ride the snowmobile on the way. Under the instructions of the cold-faced Xiao Qinglong, all members of the pioneering team set off. Silva dragged her suitcase, making gurgling sounds along the way. When she walked out of Baloberg under the gaze of the silver-maned Iron Guard, she felt an inexplicable sad emotion in her heart. Are you leaving? But, it doesn't matter. Just come back and have a look when you have time. Anyway, there is a teleportation ring. Think of this. Zilawa's eyes fell on Bo Chang's hand, and the teleportation ring seemed to be shining with dazzling light. At this moment, at the top of the city where the pioneering team left, Kakalaya and the new great guardian Brnya were standing here, watching the group go away, and Silva turned back with feeling. But saw nothing. There was only a lonely city wall and a few silver-maned iron guards standing on it. Silva, walk faster, don't fall behind. Star's voice came. Zilawa came back to her senses, immediately turned her head, quickly followed everyone, and said, well. At some point, Kakalaya and Brnya reappeared on the city wall, looking at the backs of several people. Until everyone disappeared in the white wind and snow. Brnya said, Mother, they have left, let's go back too. Kakalaya didn't speak, just turned around and left silently. Brnya followed. On the other side, when Bo Chang and others found the snowmobile that had been hidden outside, a new problem arises. Who drives and who rides? The romance option is turned on. Option 1, let Silva drive. Silva, you drive and lead the star, she will show you the way, and we will follow. Completion reward, obtain random skills. Option 2, let March Chi drive. March Chi, you drive with stars, and we will follow behind. Completion reward, within 1 kilometer, there will definitely be a car accident. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 82. Option 3, drive by yourself, I'll drive, Danhan, follow me. Completion reward, get random props, ranging from small matches to large star destroyers. Note, this type of prop will. If I hadn't let Zillowa get on the train, there should be only 2 options now. Bo Chang realized that the previous choice would also affect the fact that the later choice, in short, the more people around, the more decisions he can make. Follow this line of thought. Bo Chang pondered. It would be great if I could invite a few more people to join the star train, Brnya. No hope, she has to protect Baloberg, I know, Natasha. Probably no hope either, if she leaves, the situation in the lower area will be even worse, but Sierra and Para, it seems that we can fight for it. No, Para can't fight for it. If she doesn't stay in Baloberg, how can I come here in the future? Although Bo Chang now has another teleportation ring. But this teleportation ring should be saved and given to Sanyuki, Zillowa and Seeing at the same time. He can't use it indiscriminately. Chapter 108, Die Saint. After a little thought, Bo Chang decided to choose the first one. Zillowa, you drive Seeing, she will show you the way, and we will follow behind. In Baloberg, there are snowmobiles. But only rich people can afford it. Obviously, as the rebellious eldest lady of the Landau family. Zillowa can play snowmobiles, she asked curiously, how do you know I can drive a snowmobile? You are so good at playing machines, it's normal to be able to drive a snowmobile. Bo Chang explained casually. Rewards are being distributed. Congratulations on your skills, Die Saint, you can roll any points you want. After hearing the system prompt sound, Bo Chang's eyes lit up. This. That's it? Aha, let's play dice next time. After getting the skills of the Die Saint, Bo Chang's sense of urgency was relieved a lot. Even if the star god Aha came to his door next time, Bo Chang also had the confidence to fight back. What kind of twisted logic is this? Zillowa looked puzzled, but she didn't care too much. But it just so happens that these luggage of mine also need to be checked in. The blonde queen was carrying a medium-sized suitcase. She also carried a guitar. If she walked all the way, it would be a bit tiring. So Zillowa accepted Bo Chang's kindness frankly. Seeing asked, why do you want me to get on the car, isn't March also okay? March is not very reliable. Bo Chang replied. Sanyuki, who was originally a little unhappy because the other party stole her socks, became even more unhappy. She said, what, I am actually very reliable. Danhan glanced at the pink-haired girl and had no intention of speaking. Bo Chang comforted her. I know this, Sanyu, calm down. Huh. Sanyuki turned his head away and deliberately didn't look at Bo Chang. Zillowa, who was standing next to him, put her things on the snowmobile. She and Seeing sat on it together and said, then we'll go first. Okay. Bo Chang waved to the 2 people who were riding away. He watched them leave. After March 7 took 2 steps, he couldn't help but say, Bo Chang, can't you fly? Why don't you fly now? Using the power of flying consumes a lot of energy. Bo Chang shook his head. The system has increased his mental power 4 times. That is, 16 times the mental power of ordinary people. After using the invisible hand. Now the limit can create 10 hands, but the distance that can be covered is still 10 meters, without any change. This also made Bo Chang realize. The distance limit may not be so easy to break through. Bo Chang just flew in the air for more than 20 minutes. Only then did he rush to the pioneering team. Long-term flight. Bo Chang had already consumed a lot of mental energy. Even if he did have the energy to fly to the vicinity of the landing capsule, he could only fly alone or bring another person. The other person would be helpless. What's more, there is a robot here, Perkins. Bo-Chang definitely can't carry it. This thing is too heavy. The net weight is more than 2 tons. Bo-Chang wants to lift it with his invisible hand, which he can do, but it can't fly long distances. I'm afraid he will be exhausted after flying 100 meters. I can't carry Perkins at all, let's walk slowly. If you don't want to walk, you can sit on its hand, just like Sophia. Bo-Chang replied. Of course. Sophia didn't sit on Perkins' hand, but hid in his body. I heard that she took a few books in. She should be reading now. Sanyuki shook his head and said, forget it. The group walked forward slowly for nearly an hour before arriving near the landing module. At this time, Zillowa and Scene had already gone in and sat down. After Bo-Chang and others followed in. The landing capsule became crowded. The original pioneering team had 4 people, plus a snowmobile. When they returned, there were more people, including Zillowa, Perkins, and Sophia. Especially Perkins. Apart from the snowmobile, it has the largest area. Fortunately, the landing capsule is large enough. It is no problem to accommodate everyone. After Dan Hung operated a few times, flames were ejected from the bottom of the landing capsule and began to move towards outer space. Zillowa, sitting by the window, looked outside. Watching the scenery on the ground gradually shrink. I don't know how long it has been. When the landing capsule came to outer space, Zillowa also saw her home for the first time. It was a big ice ball completely covered with ice and snow. Just looking at it made people feel cold. Universe, starry sky. In the Silver Main Iron Guard, Zillowa is a scientific researcher. She has knowledge that ordinary people don't have. She knows that Baloberg is located on a planet. She also knows the concept of the universe. It's just that after losing high-tech technology, Zillowa couldn't really witness these things. She could only see these things in books. It wasn't until she saw them with her own eyes. Zillowa felt the shock. Sanyuki smiled and said, it must be interesting to see what your own planet looks like for the first time. Zillowa said, gently pressing her 5 fingers on the high-hardness glass window. Seeing this, Sanyuki didn't bother the other party anymore, but instead set her sights on Ba-Kame. Hey, Ba-Kame, it's boring now. Do you have any strange things that you can play with? Sanyuki, who had been playing with his mobile phone for a while, was already bored. Ba-Kame thought for a while and said, there's nothing fun. Is that so? Sanyuki was not discouraged. Speaking of which, why don't we take pictures? After all, we haven't taken the induction photos for you two yet. Sanyuki said, his hand had already pressed on the camera. Bo-Chang complained, you should have taken a lot of photos before. That's right, Sanyu, I don't want to take photos. Scene showed a helpless look. You know, she took a lot of photos with Sanyuki when playing in the upper area of Baloberg today. Her face was almost frozen with laughter. It is normal to refuse directly when hearing that the other party wants to take photos again. Hey, just a joke. Sanyuki shook his head and sighed, look how scared you two are. Bo-Chang. Scene. Shiluwa turned her head and looked at the 3 people chatting with some envy. Sometimes, she really didn't know how to insert the topic. When Bo-Chang saw it, he took the initiative to bring up the topic and said, Shiluwa, why don't we play cards? It doesn't matter if you don't know how to play. We can teach you. Well. Shiluwa agreed. Seeing this, Sanyuki took out the poker cards on his body. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I have the option of Love in the Starry Sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 83. Of course. There is no penalty for drinking this time. As they were having fun, the landing capsule slowly connected with the starry sky train. Chapter 109, A Couple. The Pioneer team successfully returned to the starry sky train and brought new passenger Silva, robot Pascal, and familiar Sophia. When everyone met, Bo Chang introduced them one by one, since they had known the news in advance. So Gzi and Walter Yang were not too surprised, just let them have a good rest and relieve the fatigue caused by Yellow 6. Next, the starry sky train will leave this area as soon as possible. Go to the next destination. So, Bo Chang returned to his room. This was prepared by Gzi for him. Now there is nothing in it except a bed. Although the robot Pascal is Bo Chang's pet. But, Bo Chang did not have the idea of monopolizing it. Instead, he generously let Pascal serve everyone on the starry sky train. When Bo Chang returned to the room just now, Pascal was called away by Pam. It was unknown what he was going to do. It might be that he was asked to help fix something. Lying on the soft big bed, Bo Chang was not sleepy yet. The reason was very simple. He slept for a while in Natasha's clinic in the afternoon. It was normal for Bo Chang to be unable to sleep now. After Sophia had Pascal as a mount, she did not stay with the black-haired boy, so, his room was still quiet now. Bo Chang lay for a minute, then sat up suddenly. Anyway, Xing's room is next door, let's go and see her. With this idea in mind, Bo Chang walked out of the room, and Xing just happened to go out at this time. Both parties were stunned for a second. Then they said at the same time, "Where are you going?" "You go first X2. The two said in unison again. Bo Chang and Xing couldn't help laughing. "You go first, Xing." This time, the two did not speak at the same time. Xing said, "I feel quite bored, I want to go to your room." If Bo Chang guessed correctly, Xing's room was the same as his, now there was nothing but a bed. Bo Chang nodded. "What a coincidence, I also want to go to your room." Xing was stunned for a moment and said, "Then, should we take turns?" "Well, forget it." Bo Chang shook his head. He wanted to go to Xing's room to see, mainly to find Xing. If the other party was not in the room, there was no point in going. After chatting for a while outside, Bo Chang invited Xing to his room. The gray-haired girl did not refuse. After entering the room and closing the door, Xing sat down on Bo Chang's bed. The gray-haired girl sat on the edge of the bed, her two pairs of white feet shaking casually. "Speaking of which, Bo Chang, we are not related by blood." "Well, so?" Bo Chang answered casually. Xing said, "You don't seem surprised." "Of course, look at our hair color and eye color, you can probably guess it." Bo Chang spread his hands. "On the road just now, no one mentioned this matter." "Until now," Xing said it. She continued, "Then, what do you think our relationship is? Maybe we are really a couple, just like you said before." Xing's words reminded Bo Chang of what happened in the Black Tower space station. The black-haired boy who just crossed over at that time. It is true that they talked about, the two might be a couple. Bo Chang didn't expect that Xing would bring up the old matter now. The love option is turned on. Option 1, agree immediately, yes, we should be a couple. Completion reward, get random props, from small matches to large star destroyers. Note, this kind of props will. Option 2, politely refuse, this, I'm just talking casually, maybe we are just friends. Completion reward, get random props, from small matches to large star destroyers. Note, this kind of props will. Option 2, politely refuse, this, I'm just talking casually, maybe we are just friends. Completion reward, get random props, from small matches to large star destroyers. Note, This type of prop will. Isn't Silver Wolf spying on me? What's going on? Why is he suddenly not responding? Did he go to play games? Bo Chang muttered in his heart. If it was before. In this situation, 9 out of 10 times, the first one cannot be chosen. Once chosen, Silver Wolf will definitely take action. Unexpectedly, nothing happened this time. Who cares? Anyway, the love option gives all rewards, which means it can be chosen. Option 1. Opportunity is rare and will never come back. Bo Chang immediately said, yes, we should be a couple. Rewards are being distributed. Congratulations on getting the prop, a pack of instant noodles. Note, this type of prop will. Couple, if we are a couple, what should we do? Scene showed a confused expression. When Bo Chang was about to answer, March 7 pushed the door open and said, what are you two doing here? Come out and play mahjong, 2 are missing. Just like playing cards. There is also mahjong here, and the rules are very different from those in the previous life. Bo Chang also played it on his mobile phone. But you shouldn't care about mahjong at all now? Bo Chang turned around and looked at her speechlessly, feeling that March 7th was really not the right time. Scene didn't care that much. Well, Bo Chang, let's go play mahjong first. Saying that, Scene stood up. Bo Chang swallowed all the words he originally wanted to say. He was silent for a moment, sighed softly, and finally chose to play mahjong with March 7th and Scene. Apart from the 3 of them, the other one is Heimko. Shilahua, who didn't know how to play mahjong yet, stood by and studied. While playing mahjong, Jitsi chatted with everyone. Bo Chang, I heard from March 7th, that you have learned another magical stealing skill. Can you let me see it? This. Bo Chang was very hesitant. After seeing March 7th playing a 2-tube card, he said, wait, it's touched. GZI said, why, is it inconvenient to use? No, I'm just worried that I'll steal something that I shouldn't steal. After all, the stealing skills are completely random. When I was in Baloberg today, I stole March's socks. Bo Chang said, throwing out a note. March 7th complained, so you didn't care at all that you would steal something from me that you shouldn't. Think of it this way. March 7th felt that she was quite lucky. Fortunately, she only stole a pair of socks. If a skirt or top is stolen, that would be fun. Of course I care, it's just that in order to stop your mouth, I didn't use my skills to mess with you. You will definitely still hold on to the 2 girls, that's so troublesome. Bo Chang did not say what he was thinking, but argued, I didn't know that I would steal clothes. If I had known that I would steal clothes, I wouldn't have done this. It doesn't matter. There's no one else here anyway. Just give it a try. I'm very curious about your power. Heimko looked excited. Bakame said, GZI is serious. Certainly. Chapter 110, Broken, I became Heijin, more updates during the Dragon Boat Festival. Bo Chang and others played mahjong in GZI's room. There is no one else in the room except Bo Chang, March Chi, Sing, GZI and 11 Lehua. After getting the other party's consent, Bo Chang used the power of stealing again and held GZI with one hand. The red-haired lady who was about to touch the cards froze up and felt an unknown force sweep through her body, making her feel inexplicably uncomfortable, as if she was not wearing any clothes. Then, a white light shone from Bo Chang's clenched fist, and his palm felt like clothing again. What is it? Since this time he was not in public, Bo Chang did not observe secretly, but directly stretched the warm clothes in his palms with both hands. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 84. Black, Lace, Briefs. Bo Chang's pupils trembled slightly. This wave hit the jackpot. Even though GZI was well informed, when she saw her underwear being taken away, her face couldn't help but blush, and she looked so charming. Sanyuki and Zillowa stopped what they were doing, and they were both stunned. GZI was shy for a moment, but soon recovered and said, "Okay, how long do you want to look at it? Give it back to me quickly." The red-haired sister's tone was still as gentle as before. She is indeed a mature adult. Bo Chang presented the briefs with both hands and said, "See, GZI, so I just reached out to take her black lace briefs." GZI shook her head gently. "It's okay, you don't need to explain, this was originally my own request, Nyo doesn't blame you, but, your skills are indeed quite perverted, and it's no wonder that Xiao Sanyu complained to me just now." "Sanyu, you." Bo Chang looked over. Sanyuki turned her head innocently, whistling as if nothing had happened. Seeing spoke seriously. "Ba Kane, try stealing from me." "Ah. Still coming? Are you sure?" Ba Kane was surprised. Seeing stared at him with a pair of calm golden eyes and said, "I'm curious." Touched the back of his head. Ba Kane thought for a moment and decided to agree, just to satisfy the other party's curiosity. Anyway, he probably wouldn't win the jackpot consecutively. "Okay, seeing, then let you try it too." "Steal." To show Ba Kane's stealing power. Now the mahjong stopped. As the white light came on, Ba Kane rubbed it with his palm and felt that it was still clothes this time. Strange, why are all the stolen clothes? Ba Kane didn't use his hands to straighten it. Instead, he spread it out and observed it carefully. White, pure cotton, another briefs. Although I won the jackpot. But Bo Chang was not happy, his eyebrows furrowed, and he said, "No. It should be a random item, how come it's twice in a row?" Several girls in the room stared at the black-haired boy. No words were said. Unwilling to admit defeat, Bo Chang looked at Zillowa with a sharp gaze, as if asking, "Try. Come on." Zillowa hesitated for a moment, then followed GZI and Seeing and devoted themselves to studying each other's special abilities. Seeing this, Bo Chang stretched out his ruthless iron hand again. The final result was suffocating. Still briefs. But this time it was purple lace. Looking at the white on the left hand and the purple on the right hand, Bo Chang was shocked and said, "This is not scientific, March just now, wait." Suddenly realized something. Bo Chang stared at March 7, and his tone became low. "March, you didn't wear anything before." That, March 7 lowered her head embarrassedly, gently tapping her delicate white face, because I drank too much last night, so it got wet, so, I didn't wear it, but I did wear leggings." The pink-haired girl's voice became smaller and smaller. After that, March 7 raised her slightly red cheeks and said stubbornly, "And now I'm wearing it, if you don't believe me, you can try it." Bo Chang started a brainstorming. How did it get wet after drinking? Everyone was wearing pajamas yesterday, so she was. The romance option is enabled. Option 1, just give it a try, use stealing on March 7. Completion reward, approval of high morality, the fountain location in the central square of the Baloberg Administrative District. You can consume an approval of high morality to salvage the treasure in the fountain once. Note, this type of prop will. Option 2, joking, I didn't expect that Sanyu actually peed his pants last night. Completion reward, get a random prop, ranging from a match to a star destroyer. Note, this type of prop will. Option 3, ignore Sanyuki and return the briefs first. Seeing, Zillowa, give, completion reward, the price of buying vegetables will increase, super double. Why does stealing against Sanyuki get praise for high morality? Who did you learn this moral standard from? Is it Kazuma? Bo Chang paused. Oh no, I've become Kazuma. At first, he stole short socks from Sanyuki. Bo Chang thought his theft was very decent. Unexpectedly, it was because Sanyuki didn't wear them that he stole the short socks. Why? Bo Chang, who couldn't figure it out, temporarily gave up thinking and turned to observe the three options. Option 3 is naturally the first one to be eliminated. The first and second ones are both okay. After all, when Bo Chang uses the Noble Moral Praise Lottery, I feel that the rewards are all good. Forget it, let's just draw an item. Option 2. Bo Chang joked, I didn't expect March to wet his pants last night. Who? Someone peed their pants, we just sweated a little too much. March 7th patted the mahjong table and stood up, feeling a little excited. Rewards are being distributed, congratulations on getting the props, noise-cancelling headphones, which can block noise. Note, such props will. Noise-cancelling headphones. It's okay, at least it's better than the instant noodles just now. Bo Chang thought in his heart. Facing March 7th, who was angered by him, Bo Chang comforted him, okay, it's just a joke, don't worry about it. Only then did March 7th sit down again. Right now. Jitsy's cell phone rang. She looked at it and said, I still have things to deal with. You guys go ahead and play. Zillowa, you just saw us playing a few rounds. You should know how to do it. I'll leave it to you next. Come on. After pressing Zillowa to his seat, Jitsy took her black lace briefs and left. She had to go to the toilet to put them on again. It didn't feel good to put them in neutral. Bo Chang handed over Sing and Zillowa's briefs. The two looked at each other and stood up together. Then, Sing's hands were placed on the waistband of his pants. Zillowa, who was about to go out, was stunned and said, what are you doing? Take off your skirt and put on pants. It's uncomfortable to be empty. Sing picked up his briefs. Silva showed a puzzled expression. Here. Sing blinked and said, is there a problem? Silva. March 7th. Chapter 111, Infinite Loop. March 7th and Zillowa were stunned by Sing's rhetorical question. Is this a problem? Of course there is a problem. Bo Chang was still sitting next to him. Such a grown man was not just a decoration. If Sing took off her skirt and put on briefs here, wouldn't she be exposed by him? Even if I know there is something unusual about Sing. After something like this happened, Silva was still a little speechless. She couldn't help but grab Sing's back collar and plan to drag her away by force. Let's go to an unoccupied room and change. It's not convenient here. The gray-haired girl had no intention of resisting, but her eyes were a little innocent. Next. There are only two people in Jitsy's room, Bo Chang and March Chi. The two looked at each other for a few seconds, but no one spoke first. So the pink-haired girl took out her mobile phone and played for a few times to relieve the silent atmosphere in the air. After playing casually for dozens of seconds, she put down her mobile phone again. She didn't know what she thought of, and said in an unpleasant tone, Bo Chang, I noticed that you always seem to bully me recently, do you have any problem with me? Did I bully you? Why didn't I know? Bo Chang shook his head in confusion. On March 7th, I started to count with my fingers, extending my index finger, middle finger. Why not? That day at the Gerda Hotel, you rubbed my face and sometimes you ignored me on purpose. You were testing your stealing skills on me before. If I hadn't happened to be naked, I would have been in Baloberg made a big fool of himself. Just now you laughed at me for peeing my pants. On March 7th, he told all these things in detail. Bo Chang said helplessly, in March, isn't that a very common slapstick? You can't afford it, right? Who said I can't afford to play anymore? March 7th patted the table, we just feel, that you are not gentle to me at all, not like the star, Humph, we haven't forgotten that when we come back, let Seeing ride the snowmobile and I'll walk. March, you think too much, and it's obviously you who started. Bo Chang looked at the pink-haired girl. March 7th crossed his arms and said, "Why are you talking about this? Aren't you ready to apologize? As long as you are willing to apologize, maybe our mood will get better. If you are in a good mood, it will be good for you. A little something is totally fine. I have the option of love in the starry sky." Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 85. The romance option is turned on. Option 1, March 7th has already said this, why not obey her? He replied, "I'm sorry, I was wrong. I won't dare to do it next time." Completion reward, obtain random props, ranging from matches to star destroyers. Note, such props will. Option 2, wrong, where did I go wrong? It seems that March 7th has no long memory at all. Please rub March Chi's face hard and say, if you dare to act petty, this is what you will end up with. Completion reward, obtain random skills. Option 3, grab March Chi's hand and say, March, I am doing this just to build a good relationship with you. Completion reward, strength increased by 100%. This is not the first time March 7th has found trouble. Bo Chang can actually understand. After all, Bo Chang did like to persecute March 7th sometimes. There is nothing we can do about this. After the first persecution, March 7th will be filled with grudges and troubles, and Bo Chang will be persecuted a second time. Then the cycle repeats. Successfully achieved an infinite loop. The end result was that the two of them were at loggerheads. Bo Chang thought for a while and began to look for the most suitable among the three options. With options 2 and 3, Bo Chang naturally does not need to consider option 1. After all, random prop rewards appear too frequently. Bo Chang does not lack props for the time being, he only lacks skills and physical fitness. Options 2 and 3 interrupt the rhythm of March 7th, but option 2 is with Zinni. If option 3, it means a love option, Zillowa and Seeing just left. Don't start at this time. More when. Option 3. Bo Chang made up his mind. He stood up and grabbed Yu Chi's hand and said, Yu, I did this just to build a good relationship with you. The black-haired boy's sudden attack caught March 7th off guard. Although when the other party grabs his hand, March 7th can definitely get out of the way. But, for some reason, March Chi hesitated and did not dodge. She couldn't understand her feelings, just like she didn't understand why she always wanted to cause trouble for the other party. When I first saw Bo Chang handing the teleportation ring to Pella, March 7th would have felt sour in my heart. He knew that Clara stepped on his back. I feel uncomfortable too. These emotions are completely uncontrollable. March 7th looked at Bo Chang. His big hands were so warm that she felt hot all over. Look at each other for a few seconds. Then, March 7th asked blankly, is it true? Of course it's true. Bo Chang continued following the topic, and the system's voice soon sounded. Rewards are being distributed, congratulations on your 100% increase in strength. A familiar warm current circulates in the body. Bo Chang's strength increased again, and he could feel the muscles tearing and reorganizing. The muscles hidden under the skin were undergoing a transformation. This is already the fourth time to strengthen the strength. Bo Chang's strength also managed to reach 16 times that of ordinary people. The strength has increased a lot again. Hearing such an answer, the pink-haired girl's brain became confused and her breathing became rapid. It turns out that's the case. Since that's the case, then I will forgive you. March Chi, whose face was red, couldn't help but withdraw her hand and lowered her head shyly. Seeing the situation, Bo returned to his seat and sat down. Just understand in March. Seeing the other party's reaction, Bo Chang was very satisfied. The next moment, Zingzilua pushed open the door and entered. Come on, our matters have been taken care of, let's continue mahjong. After March Chi, who had his back to everyone, heard Zilua's voice, his body trembled and he immediately raised his head. His originally rosy face quickly returned to its original state, as if nothing had happened just now. Bo Chang felt the coolness in the air and the weak power of fate. He realized that March 7 used 6-phase ice to stabilize his state. This also prevents others from noticing anything unusual. Scene noticed it and asked doubtfully, March, what's wrong? No. Nothing, I just suddenly felt a little hot, so I wanted to cool down. March 7 said, using his hand as a fan, he fanned twice. Although Silva and Scene felt a little strange. But I didn't think much about it. Just when Jitsi and others were busy preparing to leave Yali Luo 6. Bo Chang and others were still playing mahjong. As a novice, Zilua was killed by Bo Chang, March Chi, and Scene, leaving nothing behind. Fortunately, everyone was just playing around. No bets were made. Otherwise, Shilua would be in dire straits. Chapter 112. Next stop. Happy mahjong time passes quickly. A few hours pass in the blink of an eye. GZI didn't know what she was busy with, so she didn't come back at all. March 7 stretched, then glanced at his phone and said, well, it's very late now, no more playing, we're going to bed. If you don't get a good rest, your skin will get worse. March Chi said and yawned greatly. Bo Chang nodded and stood up. Okay, let's break up first. Neither Scene nor Silva had any objections. After fighting for such a long time, several people were tired, especially Zilua who was killed by the explosion. So, everyone packed up the mahjong table and returned to their rooms. Although everyone has solved the crisis of the star core. But I want to wait for the influence of the star core to completely dissipate. It will take some time. During this time, everyone can only wait on the train. Bo Chang washed himself a little. Lie down in bed. It was already 12 o'clock in the evening, and Bo Chang began to feel sleepy. He closed his eyes and fell asleep. On the other side, March 7 lay in bed, but couldn't fall asleep. She always thought of what Bo Chang had said before. Causes mental excitement. When I was playing mahjong just now, March 7 was a little better, but now I am free. She started to have random thoughts. Hey, Bo Chang wants to have a good relationship with me. March 7 turned over and over on her big pink bed. She kept thinking about what happened just now. I actually grabbed her by the waist. I'm really not ashamed to say such words, hee hee. Thinking of Bo Chang's eyes, the warmth of the other person's big hands, and the deep voice. March 7 couldn't help but let out a slight silly laugh. Speaking of which, what is he doing now? Is he like me? The pink-haired girl hugged her quilt tightly and hugged her two straight white legs. She couldn't help but think of what happened last night. At that time, March 7 did drink too much, but she did not completely lose consciousness. Thinking of those things, March 7 hugged the quilt tighter, and even the soft flesh on her chest changed its shape. At this time, Bo Chang was sleeping soundly. I don't know if it has something to do with having the sheep charm. If Bo Chang feels sleepy, it is very easy to fall asleep. The hands on the wall clock are ticking. Time soon came to the next morning. Bo Chang got up early in the morning and had just finished washing. Conductor Pam's voice sounded throughout the train through the loudspeaker. Hey, hello. Long wait. Dear passengers, thanks to the great assistance of the 4 pioneers, the activity of the rift has been reduced to a minimum, and the readings of the star track have returned to the normal range. The train is about to start again and leave Yali Luo 6, please sit tight and hold on tight, and finally say goodbye to this planet. Also, all passengers please gather in the train hall. The route meeting is about to begin. So, Bo Chang set off and came to the train hall. Pam, Heimko, Walter Young, Silva, Hoshi, and March 7 are all there. Only Dan Hung has not come yet. Pam took a look and said, "Pascal, go find Dan Hung. The root meeting is about to start." Pascal, got it? Pascal, who was following Pam, sprang into action. With such a robot on hand to help, you can save a lot of things. After seeing March 7 and others, Bo Chang took the lead in saying hello. "Good morning." Silva and the others smiled in return. Bo Chang asked again, "GZI, has our next stop been decided?" "It has been decided. We will officially announce it at the meeting later, so don't worry." Jitsi looked at Bo Chang. "Before the meeting starts, you can sit down and have a cup of coffee or something." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I have the option of Love in the Starry Sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 86. Okay. After saying that, Bo Chang sat down on the soft red sofa. He was only 1 meter away from March 7. "March, you don't look very good. Did you not sleep well last night?" Bo Chang looked at him curiously. March 7 blushed slightly and retorted, "No way, don't talk nonsense. Last night, I slept well last night." "That's good." Bo Chang saw this and didn't say anything more. Shi Lu Wa picked up the kettle, made a cup of coffee for everyone, and brought it over personally. "Just brewed, try it." Shi Lu Wa handed over the coffee. Bo Chang reached out to take it and said, "Thank you." They drank coffee and chatted. Pascal, who went to call people, came back soon. But until the root meeting started, Dan Hung didn't come, and he didn't know what the other party was doing. The train conductor, Pam, didn't wait for his thoughts, but started directly. "Dear passengers, the jump route meeting officially begins." The lop-eared rabbit doll in a red uniform looked at everyone. "First, Pam would like to thank all the unknown guests for successfully solving the problem of the station, so that the train can continue to run on the star track. Next, this train conductor will announce the name of the next station." Pam was interrupted just halfway through her words. A holographic projection suddenly appeared in the train hall. The visitor was Kafka. "Long time no see." Everyone on the Star Dome train. The tall lady holding a black umbrella raised her head. "I am Kafka." Seeing this uninvited guest, the eyes of Jitsi and Walter Yang changed instantly. Pam couldn't help but take a few steps back and hide behind Walter Yang. Shilahua didn't know what was going on, but just imitated everyone else and became nervous. "Well, the timing is good, everyone is here, it seems that everyone is here." Kafka walked forward slowly, and she took a closer look and found that it seemed that one person was missing. After Jitsi saw Kafka appear, then he glanced at Bo Chang and seeing. Long ago, everyone knew that the Black Tower space station was invaded by the Star Core Hunter. They all suspected it. Bo Chang and Scene were related to the Star Core Hunter. So GZI immediately thought that Kafka came here because of the two of them. But now there is a question, how did the other party appear here? GZI looked around, trying to find clues. But there was no discovery. Seeing Kafka appear, Scene was very shocked, his eyes widened a lot, and he couldn't help looking her up and down. This person. Scene was very familiar, she could even remember the other party's name. GZI knew that the other party was just a holographic projection. The real person was not here, so she didn't do anything. She just looked at her hand and said, "There is no need for a charming self-introduction, Star Core Hunter." GZI's tone was not friendly. After all, the other party was a wanted criminal of the Interstellar Peace Company. Bo Chang looked at the scene in front of him quietly, and he didn't know what he should do at all. The love option is turned on. Chapter 113 I1. Option 1, it looks pretty realistic, try touching it. Completion reward, get a random item, from a matchstick to a star destroyer. Note, this type of item will. Option 2, watch quietly. Completion reward, get a skill, Sage, use the skill, you will become very calm. Option 3, shout, Mom, how can I live without you? Mom, take me away. Completion reward, GZI's big pussy pocket. After seeing the word Sage, Bo Chang's eyes widened slightly, but after seeing the skill introduction, the fire in his heart went out. What kind of sage is this, come here to make fun of you? Option 1. There is almost no need to hesitate. Bo Chang chose to touch it and try. Although the sage skill is still useful in certain environments. However, Bo Chang still decided to draw a random item. Time continues to flow. Jitsi, right. Kafka turned around, dragged her lazy tone and widened her beautiful eyes, which could not see the pupils, and raised 2 fingers to Jitsi. The red-haired lady remained silent, just quietly watching the other party trying to do something. I'm sorry to interrupt your party. After the teasing, Kafka turned around and continued to move forward. At this time, March 7 seemed to want to say something, but Jitsi stretched out her hand to stop him. Pam was still hiding behind Walter Young. The lop-eared rabbit, who was less than 1 meter tall, hugged the other's thigh and carefully poked his head out to look at Kafka. He looked quite cute. In the silent atmosphere, Kafka, with his back to everyone, spread his hands. But I believe that after listening to my request, Kafka walked to the window and tapped the table with her slender 5 fingers dozens of times, you will understand my presumption. I want to ask you. With a long tone, Kafka turned around and saw Bo Chang, who was close at hand. Because it was a holographic projection, the real body was not nearby. So, faced with Bo Chang's sudden approach, Kafka didn't notice anything unusual until she turned around. You. Kafka was stunned for a moment. She watched Bo Chang stretch out his hand and sweep across her waist. Seeing this scene, Sanyuki put his hands on his waist and said dissatisfiedly, Bo Chang, what are you doing? This, I'm just curious if I can touch it. Bo Chang turned his head and showed a harmless smile. Seeing someone taking the lead, Sing, who was ready to move, also came to Kafka's side and poked her projection with his finger. I can't touch it, just like the void whale on the top of the car. Sing looked at Bo Chang and blinked, it's amazing. Pascal, detection, conclusion, holographic image, target, threat, re-evaluated medium low, allow to lift the alert. When Kafka appeared, Pascal was on the highest level of alert. No attack was launched. It was entirely because the other party had not shown any threat. Jitsi helplessly held her forehead. The originally serious atmosphere was ruined by Bo Chang and Sing. Rewards are being distributed, congratulations on getting the equipment, the teleportation ring, which can be used to teleport within 10 meters. It comes with 3 grids of energy, each use consumes 1 grid, and it takes 24 hours to recharge to restore 1 grid. Note, this type of prop will. Huh? I won. Bo Chang, who had drawn useless props twice, got another teleportation ring that he urgently needed. It was considered a big prize. 2 silly kids. Kafka couldn't help shaking her head in her heart. She ignored Sing and Bo Chang standing beside her and continued, anyway, I need you to change the destination. When Sing found that the other party ignored her, she felt a little disappointed. Fortunately, Bo Chang was by her side. But, is Bo Chang grinning? Sing noticed the sudden rise of the other party's mouth. Although it disappeared quickly, it still made Sing a little confused. I don't understand why the other party was laughing at all. Is it because of Kafka? Change the destination? I can only say, you've come to the wrong place. Kafka Jitsi spread her hands. We don't intend to accept your request, nor do we intend to have anything to do with the Starcore Hunter. Jitsi refused directly. The Starcore Hunter is a wanted criminal. Having anything to do with him, it will only ruin the reputation of the Stardome train. Kafka did not give up, but bypassed Singh and Bakang and spoke on her own. She mentioned the Luofu ferry boat. She also mentioned that there was a Starcore on it. It is said that 45 hours ago, a Starcore exploded on the Luofu ferry boat. And the ferry boat people have now put the blame for the Starcore explosion on the Starcore Hunter, and have also captured one of Kafka's companions, Blade. He was a black-haired man who looked very fierce. Kafka came here this time to resolve the crisis of the Starcore and clear the suspicion of the Starcore Hunter. Let Luofu ferry boat release Blade. What else did Kafka say? I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 87. If they had not gone to the Luofu immortal boat, the Starcore would have contaminated the entire immortal boat, and about half of the residents on the spacecraft would have died. For these things, March 7 didn't believe it, and she refuted the other party without giving any face. Singh actually wanted to help, so he said, we can sell Starcore Hunter a favor. No one else took a position. 2. Finally, watched Kafka leave. A holographic projection suddenly appears. Suddenly disappeared again. Kafka's eyes didn't stay too much on Singh and Bochang at all, and basically paid attention to Jitsi. The dialogue also mainly revolves around Heimko and Walter Young. After Kafka left, GZI said directly, in March, go find Dan Hung. Everyone on the star train was there except Dan Hung. Pascal also went to find the cold-faced little green dragon just now. The other party's answer was, wait a minute, I'll be right there. The result has not come yet. March 7 nodded. Okay, Heimko. After saying that, after taking a deep look at Bochang, March 7 left the train hall. Zilawa, who had been holding back for a long time, was finally able to ask. That, what exactly is the Starcore Hunter, and the Luofu immortal boat, the company, etc. It's a long story. Jitsi looked at Silva. To put it simply, the Starcore Hunters are a group of wanted criminals wanted by the company. Regarding Kafka's bounty, that's astronomical figures, regardless of life or death. The full name of the company is Interstellar Peace Company. Like Baloberg, they believe in the guardian star god. They develop and sell goods in the universe, maintain commercial channels, and create the universal currency of the universe, which is credit points. As for the ferry boat, just when I was looking for Dan Hung on March 7, Jitsi took the time to give Shalua some popular science knowledge. Zings looked at Bochang and said, want to go over and have a look? Bochang could understand what the other party meant. Singh definitely wanted to find Yu Chi and Dan Hung. Chapter 114. Heading to the immortal boat. Train corridor. Bochang and Singh walked together, where they saw Yu Chi and Dan Hung, just like their previous attitude. The pink-haired girl did not believe Kafka. Showed considerable hostility. On March 7, I vowed to everyone, to vote against it? Singh curiously asked, isn't this Jitsi's final decision? Believe me, she will definitely engage in democratic voting. It is not up to us to decide where she will go. There are 7 people in the crew of the Stardome train. As long as March 7, Dan Hung, Bochang and Singh collude. Heimko, Walter Young, and Silva couldn't afford to make any big waves. Dan Hung shook his head at this time and said, it would be okay if we go to other immortal boats. Luofu, I can't go. Ferry boat. These are 9 planet-sized giant ships sent by an ancient civilization in search of the elixir of immortality. They are called medicine seekers. In the end, he got his wish and met the fertility star god, medicine master, who blessed him with endless lifespan. But immortality has brought many undead evil creatures. In the end, they were saved by hunting the star god. The Xianzhou people then joined the hunting camp. They formed the Immortal Boat Alliance and began to patrol the galaxies and clear away the evil creatures of immortality. This series of changes also left only 6 of the 9 immortal boats. They are Luofu, Yaoqing, Fanghu, Zuming, Suling and Yuk, and they are ruled by different generals. Above the generals, there is Marshal Yunkai, named Hua. It is worth mentioning that generals and marshals are God's messengers. It is quite powerful and basically rivals the Great Lord of Extermination. Is there anything going on between you and Luofu? Bo Chang looked at Dan Heng. Since Jitsi introduced Xianzhou just now, he already has a certain understanding of Xianzhou alliance. Face questions. The cold-faced Xiao Qinglong didn't express all his thoughts. I am forbidden to enter Luofu. No one is allowed to step on any place where they are in charge. That's what they announced. If you want to go, I can't go with you. As soon as Dan Heng finished speaking, March Chi said, "Don't worry, as long as the 4 of us collude, there will definitely be no problem." You are right, Bo Chang. March Chi looked at the black-haired boy with a smile. Bo Chang touched his chin. Well, actually, I really want to visit Xianzhou, and Luofu is also related to Dan Heng's life experience. March, aren't you curious? What you said makes sense. Bo Chang's words made March 7th enlightened. Dan Heng said speechlessly, "Next time I trouble you to say something like this, can you avoid me? It's not a big deal." Bo Chang shrugged slightly. March 7th thought for a while, feeling something was wrong, and said, "Hey, Bo Chang, could it be that you decided to go to Xianzhou because of Kafka? We know that you and Starcore Hunter relevant." "I'm not, I didn't, don't talk nonsense." Bo Chang directly denied Sanlian. For some reason, March 7th was generous enough not to pursue the matter further. "Then let's go find GZI, so they won't get impatient." The 4 of them turned around and entered the train hall. After seeing Dan Heng appear, GZI was the first to say hello. "Are you okay, Dan Heng? Little Sanyu told you everything." Since Dan Heng was always on time, GZI believed that he had his own reasons after being late. And she didn't ask any more questions. "I'm fine, and I understand the situation." Dan Heng nodded slightly. Then GZI, as Sanyuki said, began to conduct a democratic vote to decide the direction to go. Stretching out your hand means going to the ferry boat. Not stretching out your hand means not going. In the end, except for Dan Heng, everyone stretched out their hands. 6-1, then, the train group agreed to go to the ferry boat by a majority vote. GZI said with a smile. Although the Starcore Hunter may just be using everyone. But, GZI and Walter Yang can't completely ignore the situation of Luofu ferry boat. Bo Chang and Xing looked at Sanyuki. If they remembered correctly, Sanyuki vowed to vote against it. But since he also voted in favor, so Xing and Bakame said nothing. Then Danhan made it clear that he would stay on the Starry Sky train. "Then this pioneering mission will be handed over to you, Walter. I see you have been ready for a long time." GZI spread her hands. "Take good care of Xiao Sanyu, Xing, Bakame, and Zilawa, especially Zilawa, because this is her first pioneering mission." "Don't worry." Walter Yang nodded. Sanyuki put his hands on his hips and said happily, "The target is the ferry boat, let's go." After making a decision, the Starry Sky train was ready to jump. Bakame, Xing, and Zilawa sat on the soft red sofa and chatted together before the jump officially started. "By the way, what is Sanyu doing?" Everyone was already sitting on the sofa, ready to jump. Sanyuki stood alone in the middle of the train. Muttering in her mouth, I won't fall, I won't fall, I won't fall. When she said the last sentence, Sanyuki's voice broke a little. She is challenging herself. Bo Chang shook his head slightly. Unfortunately, she rarely succeeds. Sing said, don't worry about Sanyu, we just close our eyes and sit still. Is that so? Shiluo had just finished speaking. Pam's voice sounded. The jump is about to begin, 5, 4. Accompanied by the countdown. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 88. Siluo did not close her eyes immediately, but looked at her home, Yali Luo 6. After sealing the star core, the icy planet has lost its white color visible to the naked eye. The colors of the earth are revealed again. Goodbye. Silva thought so in her heart, and then closed her clear and transparent eyes, like sapphire. The Star Dome train was invaded by a blue light. According to the address given by the Star Core hunter, everyone jumped towards the unknown distance. According to Kafka, as long as the star train jumps twice, you can reach the Luofu immortal boat. And indeed it is. After 2 consecutive jumps, I heard the sound of March 7th falling twice. The Star Dome train arrived at the Luofu immortal boat. It was a very large ship. Rubbing her butt, March Chi followed everyone to the window as if nothing was wrong. She looked at the giant ship and said, wow! Is this the ferry boat? It looks bigger than the Yali Luo 6. Looking at the familiar giant ship, Dan Hung felt a little emotional for a moment and said something to himself. GZI began to communicate with Luofu immortal boat. Request login permission. Welcome to Luofu Airport, Xingcha Si. Please wait patiently for the connection, please wait patiently for the connection. The intermittent signals kept repeating the same words. There was absolutely no sign of a guided mooring. This also caused a little chaos on the Star Dome train. March 7th was already thinking wildly, saying that this was the beginning of a horror movie. Chapter 115 Hidden Ability. The chaos did not last long. The huge light gate that covers the sky and the sun in front of you, the Jade Realm Gate, is slowly opening. But the weird thing is, news from communications. It was still the indifferent electronic sound, not the voice of the staff, and after opening the Jade World Gate, the signal was immediately interrupted, and Xianzhou Luofu said nothing. Everyone chatted briefly. GZI asked everyone to prepare for the trip. This time the pioneering mission. There were 5 people in total, led by Walter Young, followed by Silva, March 7, Bo Chang and Sing, as well as the robot Pascal and the familiar Sophia. Bo Chang had nothing to prepare. Just take all your stuff. Such as the oath gun, black bear mask, sacred shield, and ancient coins, and Erhu. Erhu and black bear masks can be placed in Pascal's belly. Anyway, there is quite a lot of space in the other person's belly. Bo Chang, who returned to his room, thought for a while and took out the 3-star destruction light cone, Tianqing, from the system space. He started the path of destruction and now has the qualifications to use the light cone. The moment I got the light cone, the destiny power in Bakang's body echoed it. Strange memories suddenly appeared in his mind. Bo Chang seemed to see a world being destroyed in front of his eyes, and a strange skill from the light cone came to his mind. He felt that he was using the power of destiny. Suddenly became stronger. This feels a bit like the system directly instilling skills. It was just after Bo Chang cut off the connection between himself and the light cone. The unfamiliar knowledge quickly faded from my mind. If you use the same light cone for a long time, you should be able to learn the technology contained in it. The essence of light cone is to refine memory fragments while preserving experience and abilities, so as long as the learning ability is strong enough, it is completely possible to learn the knowledge contained in the light cone. The power of destiny in my body is still too weak. I need to exercise it properly. Bo Chang touched his chin. I don't know if I have time to exercise on the ferry boat. It would be great if the system could directly strengthen the power of destiny in my body, like marksmanship. Bo Chang still needs to learn marksmanship from Dan Hung in Belloberg. Now that you have obtained the 100 birds Chao Huang spear, you can practice it yourself. There is no need to follow the opponent's rigid practice. Anyway, Dan Hung wouldn't teach him his unique marksmanship. Then, the cold-faced Xiao Qinglong also said when he taught marksmanship that he would only teach some basics and rely on Bo Chang himself for the rest. Pascal, let's go. After Bo Chang put away his things, he took Pascal out of his room. He came to the train hall and saw Dan Hung standing here waiting. The other party said, I'm going to Xianzhou, be more careful. I've sorted some things out. The information about Xianzhou has been sent to the group, I hope it will be helpful to you. Bo Chang asked, are you really not going? I can't go. Dan Hung shook his head silently. Seeing the situation, Bo didn't say anything more. Gzi and Walter Yang were talking about something. Because of the distance, Bo Chang didn't know what they were discussing, and he had no interest in listening. Instead, he sat alone on the red sofa, looking at the information Dan Hung sent to him. After a while, Gzi took the initiative to come to the door, and she sat next to Bo Chang. Can I interrupt you for a second? It's okay. Bo Chang raised his head and put away his phone. What's wrong with Gzi? That's it? Regarding your ability, I still want to remind you that the Immortal Boat Alliance is not Belloberg. Some special abilities should not be disclosed easily, especially the matter of resurrecting dead objects and possessing their original abilities. Don't let it out, or you might get into trouble. Gzi looked solemn. About Bo Chang's special abilities. Everyone knows it, after all, there is a group chat, as long as there is any trouble. News will be sent to the group on March 7th. Both Gzi and Walter Yang knew Bo Chang's power. When he just came back yesterday, Bo Chang also demonstrated this ability to turn dead objects into living things. Unfortunately, this power only works on famous items. Bo Chang also proposed the idea of using Black Tower dolls or Star God toys for experiments. But the idea of experimenting with the Star God unanimously rejected by Heimko, Walter Young, and Pam. The reason is also very simple, you cannot offend the Star God. Resurrection of a statue of a Star God, in case it attracts the attention of the rightful owner. That's for the Star Dome train. Not necessarily a good thing. What's more, Bo Chang also said that he has no control over the resurrected objects. God knows how much power the resurrected Star God will have. Even if it's just 1% of the power. Only resurrected for a moment. This is still a very dangerous thing for the train crew. As for the resurrected pioneer Star God, a Star God who has passed away and had a good relationship with the Star Dome train, Bo Chang felt there was no problem. Gzi and Walter Yang also said they could try it. Too bad Pam didn't want to. After all, the resurrected pioneer Star God is not the real Akiva. I want to use the Black Tower doll. Then Haida must agree. Anyway, Jitsi has already sent a message to the other party, but due to the distance, the message has to be passed. It will take some time. Yesterday Gzi reminded Bo Chang in front of everyone not to expose this ability casually, and now this is the second time. Ba Kame said, don't worry, Jitsi, I will pay attention. That's good. Gzi felt relieved now. After a while. March 7th, Xing and Zillowa were all prepared and came to the train hall. The three women walked together, and it seemed like their relationship was getting better and better. Everyone gathered around Walter Yang, and he said, before setting off, I have two things to say. First of all, the strength of the Immortal Boat Alliance is very powerful, and it has far surpassed that of the deceased. The train crew under the protection of Akiva. They have the hunting Star God Lan, I don't think the star core will be any trouble in the eyes of the star god. So, either the star core hunter is lying, or, there is a greater threat hidden on the ferry boat. Everyone, please don't take it lightly when you go to Xianzhou this time. Walter Yang said, pushing up his black-rimmed glasses. March 7 replied, Uncle Yang, we all know these things. In addition, I would like to clarify the purpose of the four of you's trip. Although the star core hunters have thrown out a lot of smoke bombs, the most important thing about this trip to the ferry boat is. Walter Young asked a question. Bo Chang answered quickly, of course it's the star core. Yes, our main target is the star core. Walter Yang nodded with satisfaction. Since everyone knows it, I won't say more, let's go. A group of 5 people, plus a robot and a familiar. Bo Chang and others stepped off the Stardome train. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I have the option of Love in the Starry Sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 89. Came to the realm of Xianzhou. Chapter 116 Cheetah Reagent. Where the Stardome train is parked. It's called Liuyandu. The surrounding area is surrounded by densely packed containers, and you can't see the edge at a glance, and not even a single person can be seen nearby. Bo Chang and others walked for a long time, feeling like they were going in circles. No progress at all. What, this isn't a place for tourists to land. It's clearly a dock for unloading goods. March 7 couldn't help complaining, who guided us in? It's indeed a bit strange. Since the Immortal Boat Alliance is so powerful, there should be no one to respond to us. Silva also said something. According to Jitsy's introduction at that time, the Immortal Boat Alliance is considered a powerful force in the entire universe. How could this happen? Bo Chang touched his chin and said, it seems that there is indeed something wrong with the Luofu Immortal Boat. Isn't this an empty ship already? Sing made his own guess. The current situation was getting more and more weird, and March Chi couldn't help but shudder. A spaceship arrives at an empty spaceport. This is exactly how a horror movie begins. The more I thought about it on March 7, the more I became afraid. Walter Yang heard this and shook his head. Impossible. The Immortal Boat Alliance is very powerful. They will never cause trouble so easily. In this situation, I am more inclined to think that the Star Core Hunter is responsible. The romance option is turned on. Option 1, touch her head and comfort March Chi, it's okay, everyone is with me, completion reward, get random props, ranging from matches to star destroyers. Note, such props will. Option 2, tap her shoulder and scare March 7, there is a ghost. Completion reward, obtain skills, pretend to be a ghost, you can make the person you see fall into an illusion. Option 3, ignore March 7, completion reward, the price of anything you buy will increase, super double. Comforting March 7 vs frightening March 7. How do I choose? Option 1? But the reward for option 2 is pretty good. Thinking of last night, the pink-haired girl said that she always bullied her. Bo Chang couldn't bear to choose the second one. It's better to stop feeling wronged in March. Bo Chang struggled internally for nearly 30 seconds. Forget it, let's choose the first one. After all, I don't have such a shortage of this skill. Bo Chang walked at the end of the team. This is completely opposite to Walter Yankee, who led the way. Taking a few steps forward, Bo Chang took advantage of his height to easily touch March Chi's little head and said, it's okay, everyone is with me. Bo Chang. On March 7, when she found out it was Bo Chang, she felt warm and safe in her heart. I had no idea that the other person had just been wandering between scaring and comforting for a long time. Rewards are being distributed, congratulations on getting the prop, Cheetah reagent. Drinking the reagent can significantly increase your speed in a short period of time. Note, this prop has been stored in the system space and can be taken out and used directly. Bo Chang thought, well, it's okay, but I don't know how much speed it can increase. Xing and Zilu were staring at Bo Chang and March Chi. For some reason, it made people feel a little nervous, but fortunately they didn't say anything. The little interlude is just skipped. Uncle Yang, what should we do now? March 7th looked at Walter Yang, and he said straightforwardly, start by finding the person who opened the Jade Realm gate. If this person has ulterior motives, he can save us some trouble. If he is a staff member, ask him what happened. What? What if I can't beat them? Star spread his hands. At this time, March 7th put his hands on his hips and showed a confident expression on his face. I don't blame you for saying such silly things. After all, you still don't understand Uncle Yang's abilities. Hear the words of March 7th. Silva looked at Walter Yang with curious eyes. Just judging from the appearance, you really can't feel how powerful the other person is. The mature-looking man had no intention of saying anything and just asked everyone to move on. Xianzhou, I have no clue about this place. I can only take one step and take a look. Bo Chang thought in his heart. Walked along the road between the containers for a while. Everyone finally saw the person. No. It should be said that he is a soldier. Bo Chang can see armor and weapons. You can tell at a glance that he is a well-trained soldier. But the other person fell to the ground. After seeing a living person, several members of the pioneering team rushed over. The Cloud Cavalry sergeant muttered, in front, in front. I don't know what happened before. You're seriously injured, stop talking. Walter Yang observed the other party's injuries and began to give orders. In March, use 6-phase ice to stop the bleeding of the wound urgently. Remember to control the scale and don't frostbite him. I saw March 7th using 6-phase ice to treat the injured. Bo Chang originally wanted to help. But after remembering GZI's warning, Bo Chang hesitated, and in this short time, San Yuqi had already frozen the opponent's wound. The ability of Tongue Blooming Lotus should not be a taboo, but for safety reasons, it is better not to use it indiscriminately. When Bo Chang was thinking, Walter Yang continued, it seems that there has been a fierce battle here, let's go. Well. Bo Chang nodded. The group moved forward. Along the way, they saw a lot of injured Cloud Cavalry. But there were only injured soldiers. No civilians were seen. It seems that the ferry boat evacuated the port in time, leaving only the Cloud Cavalry to fight the crisis. The injured soldiers fell to the ground in all directions, and when Bo Chang and others approached, they said the same thing. Anyway, let the pioneer team go to the front. Cross the platform in front of you. On the bridge below, there are several monsters blocking. First are the weakest Sunfen creation and Minglei creation. They are similar to the Frost Crystal creation and Yanhua creation that Bo Chang is familiar with. They are all bird-like monsters, but they have different attributes. Anyway, they are very weak. The second one is a demon yin body soldier. It is a ferry boat soldier who has fallen into frenzy. Its body can barely see the human form, and there are endless proliferation and mutation on its body. It's like growing many yellow branches. Walter Yang frowned slightly and said, it's a monster I haven't seen before. Just waiting for Uncle Yang's order. March 7 cheered. Encountering a strange monster, the pink-haired girl is not afraid, but excited. After all, this means that there will be one more material in March 7's camera. Pascal, the battle is left to you, no problem. Bo Chang did not intend to take action. Since there are already robots, they must be used. Pascal, got it, start the combat mode. Chapter 117 Ting Yun. The strength of the demon yin body soldier is not bad. Above XX creation, below elite monsters such as the Flame of the Outer Universe. The only difficult thing is, it has a strange resurrection ability. They were all knocked down. The demonic in-body soldier was able to stand up again and continue to attack. Pascal was not careful for a moment and was successfully attacked, leaving a scar on his body. Because the inside of the mechanical shell has a skin circuit, so Pascal can feel the scar on his body. Pascal, pain, pain. After piercing the enemy with an arrow, Sanyuki put away the bow and arrow and said, "Pascal, are you okay?" There was only one demonic in-body soldier, and he would basically not be able to stand up if he was killed again. The others were Sunfan creations and Minglay creations, which were easy to deal with. Sanyuki, Pascal, Sing, and Zillua worked together to easily solve the problem. Except for Pascal, no one was injured. Bo Chang looked at his mobile phone, which was showing the other party's physical condition. "Don't worry, it's just the outer armor that is damaged, no problem. Pascal is a robot after all, and it's no big deal to get injured. Not to mention getting injured. Even if it is completely destroyed. I have the option of love in the starry sky." Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 90. Bo Chang could also fix the other party, since Pascal's core data was saved on his phone anyway. It didn't matter if the phone was broken, Bo Chang had also uploaded the data to the data room of the Starry Sky train. As long as the train didn't have any problems, it would be possible to make a second Pascal. It was just that it might make the already limited intelligence even worse. That's good, let's continue. March 7th strode forward. After defeating the monster blocking the road. Not long after Bo Chang and the others walked, they heard a commotion and a fight ahead. "Go faster." Walter Yang said so. The pioneering team moved forward quickly, and after passing through the stone gate, they saw two cloud cavalrymen and a fox lady surrounded by several demonic in-body soldiers. They were forced into a corner, and the situation didn't look optimistic. "Is that Ting Yun?" Although Bo Chang hadn't advanced the game plot to this point. But, he could still recognize this person. Ting Yun was wearing a long dress with the characteristics of a ferry boat, and the most eye-catching thing was the big furry tail. Just by looking at it, Bo Chang had an urge to touch it. Seeing that the situation was not good. When Ting Yun was thinking about what to do, he turned around and saw Bo Chang and others rushing over. "Hey, you guys! Come over and help." Ting Yun seemed to have seen a savior, and the pair of fox ears on his head trembled with excitement. "The huge robot. It looks very safe." March 7 is a warm-hearted person. He rushed up without saying a word. Seeing this, the other people hurried to follow. In order to quickly resolve the battle. This time Walter Yang and Bo Chang took action. One took out the Star of Eden and operated gravity to control the enemy, while Bo Chang released the Dragon Blast. Cooperating with March 7, Zillua and Sing. In less than a minute, several demon yin body soldiers present were eliminated. The robot Pascal was too slow, and he didn't even have time to attack. The battle was over. Everyone also successfully saw the strength of Walter Yang. He was really strong. If he didn't help control the enemy. Within a minute, I'm afraid it would be impossible to eliminate these monsters that died once and could get up again. See, Uncle Yang is very powerful. March 7 put his hands on his hips. As if she was the powerful person. Sing nodded and agreed, it's really powerful. Seeing the enemy being eliminated. The soldiers of the Cloud Cavalry began to ask Ting Yun to leave this dangerous place. However, Ting Yun didn't intend to leave just like that, but said, "I know, what's the hurry, these benefactors haven't been thanked yet, it would be too rude to just leave." Miss Fox began to introduce herself. The other party was Luofu Xianzhou, the ferry envoy of the Tianbosi merchant group Ting Yun. What March 7 said was absolutely right. This is indeed the place where merchant ships unload. Tingyun smiled and said, "May I ask the names of the benefactors?" "What are your names?" "That's too polite." March 7 touched her head embarrassedly, and then told the names of the pioneers. She just didn't introduce the robot Pascal and the familiar Sophia. Tingyun nodded thoughtfully, and then raised her doubts. "I see, thank you all for your help, but I still have one thing I don't understand. The Xingcha Sea is now completely blocked. The benefactors are not from the Xianzhou. What are you doing here? The people on the Xingchen train were not from the Xianzhou." Tingyun found out at once. Even if Walter Yang gave a reasonable explanation, this fox lady still had to take them to the Tianbo division. To meet Lord Yukong. It's more like guarding than taking them. Anyway, they won't be let go so easily. The love option is turned on. Option 1, question Tingyun, is this how you treat your benefactors? Completion reward, get random props, ranging from matches to star destroyers. Note, this type of props will. Option 2, if you don't run now, when will you run? Completion reward, Xianzhou wanted order. Option 3, use stealing on Tingyun. Completion reward, Tingyun's big bag. Option 1. Bochang didn't have much room to choose. 3 choices. A big bag, a wanted order. The result is obvious. Bochang said, "Is this how you treat your benefactors?" Although Tingyun also wants to treat the benefactors well, but, you are outsiders after all. Without the authorization of the helmsman Yukong, who dares to act on his own, Tingyun had a professional smile on his face. "Don't be afraid, Lord Yukong is very kind, follow me." Miss Fox did not give the pioneering team the choice to refuse. There are 2 cloud cavalry soldiers around Tingyun who are eyeing them covetously. Although for them, the 2 cloud cavalrymen were not strong, but it was not a good choice to cause trouble in the immortal boat. Rewards being distributed, congratulations on getting the item, banana peel, you will definitely fall if you step on it. Note, this item has been stored in the system space and can be taken out and used directly. Everyone looked at each other. Their eyes fell on the uncle who led the team. Walter Yang thought about it and said, "Okay. So." After a few twists and turns, Tingyun drove the Xingcha and successfully led everyone to the Xingcha Sea Center. Watched Miss Fox go to report. Sanyuki, who was staying outside, complained, "I didn't expect to save a trouble when saving people. I should have ignored her earlier. There is no way. After all, to her, we are suspicious people with unknown identities." Bochang showed a helpless expression. The ferry boat is different from Baloberg. It is much more difficult to get away with it here than Baloberg. Bochang and others can only passively follow Tingyun. Chapter 118 I Am Long. Sichin Palace. This is the tallest building in the Xingcha Sea Center and the headquarters of Tianbosi. It is built in a magnificent style. The style is similar to the ancient Yanhuang architecture. The style of the entire ferry boat is similar to the ancient Yanhuang architecture. Clothes, soldiers, even fonts. When Bochang was waiting outside, he did not do nothing, but wandered outside the Sichin Palace. The cloud cavalry on duty around him stared at them. It seemed that they had received instructions from Tingyun. If everyone dared to run, the end would definitely be a wanted order. Just like Ren and Kafka. Stopping in front of a notice board, Bochang saw a wanted order for the Star Corps hunters, which showed the portraits and names of the 2 Star Corps hunters. The font seemed to be seal script. The color was red, which looked quite festive. I don't know what Xianzhou was thinking. Kafka. Xin walked to Bochang's side and looked at the wanted order with him. Bochang looked back. March 7th was taking beautiful pictures. Zillowa was free and couldn't help but take out her guitar and had a casual street performance. Pascal was used as a speaker by her to play background music. Walter Yang, the commist, sat alone on a stone bench, not knowing what he was thinking. Just as Bo Chang and Seeing stood together to look at the scenery, a small figure suddenly came over. "Hey, what's your name?" A clear child's voice sounded beside him, like a beautiful musical note. Bo Chang, who was watching the white sea of clouds rolling endlessly and the Xingcha shuttled back and forth, was stunned and looked down to the side. In front of him was a cute little girl with long lavender hair and blue pupils. To say a little girl. In fact, it is a bit inappropriate. It should be called a little lowly. This guy looks about the same age as Hook.